that is clear, understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I will share the yesterday's session and today's session also for revision purpose after the class finished. Okay.
Yes, sir.
After class finish, yesterday part and today part also I'll share both so that you can go through that session and you can revise the things for understanding the encapsulation and today abstraction what we are going to finish, right?
Yes, sir.
So load our application, my console apps. Tell me. Encapsulation, everybody understood, sir?
Yes, sir.
Last point. What is the problem if you do not follow the encapsulation in C# while designing, while defining, while creating a class? That we have discussed.
Yes.
Right. So if you are assigning here minus negative value, then won't be assigned because checking if the more than 0, then only assign to the class variable. Otherwise, this message to display. And here print the word previous value, right or not?
Yes, sir.
So we have seen implementing encapsulation using the word methods. One method for getter, one method for setter, right or not?
Yes, sir.
Now we'll discuss encapsulation implementation using the properties because property itself has the get block and set block, right?
Yes, sir.
Right, sir. Yeah. Observe here, please. So this topic also been finished. Right.
Recording in progress.
All right. In this class, let's discuss about implementing encapsulation in C# or in implementing encapsulation using what is it? Properties. Using properties in what language? C# language. All right. So please recall our yesterday class and previous class what we discussed for the properties. Read only property, right or not?
Yes, sir.
Write only property, read write property.
Yes.
Right. Correct. Let's observe here. The properties are features introduced in C#. So properties is one of the feature of the word C#, right or not? Properties in C# are helping in protecting a field of a class by reading and writing values to it. So field of the class making as a private and making the field of class which is the private to be exposed out of the class via their what is it? Public property in which we have a read and write feature both or only read or only write according to our need, right or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Fine. So here properties in C# help in protecting a field, or we can say a variable of a what is it, class, by reading and writing the values to it. The first approach, that is setter and getter itself, is good, but encapsulation in C# can be accomplished much smoother, much simpler by using the what is it, properties, right or not?
जी sir.
So what first approach we have learned, using the one method for getter, one method for setter, that's good, but still we can do in much smoother, in much simpler, in much easier by using the what is it, properties. So here the first approach, that is setter and getter itself is good, but encapsulation in what is it, C# can be accomplished, right, much smoother or much simpler by using the properties, right? But encapsulation in C# can be accomplished, right, much smoother or much simpler, right, with what is it, concept called properties. Because already properties we have learned, we know it has the what, setter block and getter block, right or not?
जी sir.
Correct. That's fine. Here, let us understand how to implement encapsulation, in a C# language using what is it, properties. All right, with an one live example, one live example. All right, here I'm going to have an example. In the below example, inside the student class, inside which class? Earlier we have created which class? Student class. Student class, and we have the fee, right?
Student sir.
Fee is a class field. Fee is our data. Fee is our variable of the class, right? So inside the what class? Student class. We marked what is it? The fee variable as not public, as what is it? Private. For what purpose? To restrict, to prevent not accessible directly in outside of the class, right or not? So what I'm saying, we marked the fee variable as private to restrict direct access from outside the what, student class. So just we are marking as a private to restrict direct access from outside of the student class, right? In order to access the fee variable, we have exposed the fee, F capital fee. What is it? Property. We have exposed the word fee property by declaring it as what? Not private, as what is it? Public. By declaring it as what is it? Public. All right. Now, from outside the student class, from outside the what class? Student class.
Student.
We can access the fee variable. Which member? Private. We can access the fee variable, private variable, what is it? Private variable through, not directly, through the, which one? Public exposed fee, F capital, property. So via the property, we are able to access the, what is it? Our fee private variable. So any class private member, right, you can encapsulate, right, and we can make to access outside of the class via public property now. Earlier using public method for get and for set, but now using public property. Okay, let's see how we'll do that. So come to the code part, please. And can we remove this method? Yes, sir. And can remove this all code from the main method? Yes, sir. All right. What is our class field? Fee of the student, and it is restricted to not directly access from outside of this class. Then make as a private. Private you can make explicitly by adding the access specifier private, or do not use any access specifier for your class field. By default it is private, because every member of the class without access specifier, by default it is, what is it? By default, what is it? Private. Yes. Now below here I'm going to use public, return type double, and property name fee, F capital. Property name, what is a fee, in which F is, what is it? Capital. Right. This property may contain get accessor and what is it? Set accessor. May contain both accessor. Right. May contain, what is it? Both accessor. So public double, what is it? Fee. In this I'm having the get accessor. Next, set accessor. Right. In get required to return the value. So return the value of the class private field, this dot fee. Right. So you access property, and property will return the what? Class variable fee, which is a private variable value. So you are accessing this private field outside of the class, but not directly through the, what is it? This public property. So this is the hide from the what? Outside of the class, not to access directly. That is what called as encapsulation, right or not?
Yes, sir.
And while setting the new value to this class field, we have provision that value to be stored by checking some conditions, right? So I can validate the value, right or not? If, what is it? Whatever value assigned to the property that come to a predefined variable value. If value is greater than what? 0, it means positive value there. Then assign to the what? This dot fee private variable equals to the value what user has given that. Otherwise, in else part, you may want to put some message to display, right? Like console dot right line of right value cannot be, what is it? Negative. Are you getting my point or not?
Yes.
Like this. So get also, set also, everything done into single property, not require two property create, not require two method to create. That is what we call much smoother than the what getter and setter method, right or not? Now come to the what main method. Now come to the what is it main method. In main method, what do you do? Create the student class object. So I'm writing student object name is student1 equals to new student. All right. And here I'm writing for this student1 object dot setting the fee. Fee property. It is a property accessing with the get set, not accessing the what class variable. Equals to fees what is it? I'm writing 15,000. Right? Can be stored into the class field. Console dot write line. You are going to access the what fee value, right or not? So how to access fee? Right. We are placeholder 0. Right. The value what is student 1 dot property fee. This time you are not assigning any value. It means you are going to use what get accessor. This return the what class private field value what it contains. Next one below. I'm writing student1 dot student1 dot what is it fee. I'm setting another fee, right? Here setting what minus what is it 10,000, right or not? This won't be set. This won't be set. This won't be set. If you write console dot write line of right fee right placeholder here what 0 and here what is it student 1 dot fee. So what display previous fee value what available 15,000, right or not? And this will not display because this is not assigning and else part display value cannot be negative. So here displaying what is it previous fee what it is available, right or not? Let's run the application and you can see over here. Observe. Running the application, you can see previous value 15,000 value cannot be what is it negative, right or not?
Yes.
And fee it is what coming previous value, right? You want you say I don't want to display this one, right or not? So while retrieving value you can put some condition, right or not? Right. So as student one object already this fee is what set. So what fee available that's it. And when I'm setting this one, so here checking value is more than 0, no minus value. So it's not setting to this one. If not setting to this one, so previous value what that only will display. Na? If this block of code not executed, so previous value what there to this field that value only will print, right or not?
Yes, sir.
That's what here printing what previous fee value. Got my point?
Yes, sir.
Right. If I do not print, this will not print. Here set while setting will set if the more than 0, if not more than 0, the display value cannot be negative. That's what displaying value cannot be negative. Clear the point?
Yes, sir.
All right. So this is the example for this using properties. Using what is it? Properties. And output is what based upon this code that you can see over here. Yes. This is the what not new value, previous key value, what it is available, that display. Don't get confused. Right. Clear. This window going to be closed. So we have achieved encapsulation in C# using properties in which we have get and set accessor, right?
Yes, sir.
Final point. Advantages of encapsulation. Already we discussed in the yesterday session, right? In C#. If you are not implementing encapsulation while working with the what class, while defining the class for the class variable, for the class field, then what problem you are going to face? The problem is what any value can be assigned without checking any validation, right or not? That creates
Yes, sir.
appropriate, that creates nothing but inappropriate result into their application code. So here, advantage of encapsulation in C#. First point, what is it? First point, what is it? Production of data from accidental writer, nothing but issues. So it's protecting data from any accidentally issue, right or not?
जी sir.
You are not able to assign negative value according to current logic, right? You are not able to assign any negative value because in your case requirement is what? Hey, at any cost negative value should not be assigned. So not assigning. But if it is not using encapsulation, any value can be assigned because nowhere written any kind of condition, nowhere written any kind of validation, right or not?
जी sir.
Correct. So here what I'm saying, the protection of what is it? Data. Protection of data. Right. Second one, what is it? Specification of the accessibility of each of the members of each of the what is it? Members of a class to the what is it? Code outside the class, outside the what is it? Class. Specification of the accessibility of each of the members of a class to the code outside the what is it? Class. Flexibility and extensibility of the code and reduction in the what? Complexity. Right. So next is what is it? Flexibility. Right. And extensibility, right, of the code and reduction in complexity. Reduction in what is it? Complexity. Right. Also, we can say advantage of encapsulation, what? Hiding of data from the outside of the what? Boundary line, right or not?
Yes.
Right. So what I'm saying that you are achieving what? Data hiding by using this, right or not? Data hiding. User will have no idea about the inner implementation of the class. What internally implementation happened to store the value to the what class field that user does not know, right or not? So achieving what is it? Data hiding. The user will have no idea about what is it? Inner implementation of the class. Encapsulation also improves the reusability and easy to change the what? New requirement, right or not? Encapsulation also improves the reusability, right, and easy to change with what is it? New requirements, right? They are the major advantages, right or not?
जी sir.
This makes it easy to maintain the code also, right?
Yes.
So hope it is very much clear about the encapsulation in C#, how to achieve either using method, getter method and setter method, or else by using the what is it? Properties with get accessor and what is it? Set accessor. Clear the point?
जी sir.
All right. Fine. Any queries in this?
No sir.
Okay, then I'm moving next to discuss about abstraction in C#. Abstraction in what is it? C sharp, which is related to encapsulation. Okay, now.
Yes.
Right. So encapsulation is also known as data hiding. Encapsulation can be achieved by either what is it? Nothing but methods, getter method, setter method, or by using the what properties. Using both, we have seen which one is more simpler, which one is more smoother, more easier using the properties. In real time, if you see in C sharp, 99.99% people use what approach? Second approach, that is what? Using the properties. Using the what? Properties. So what is the advantages? Protection of data, right? Data hiding, increased flexibility, reusability, and of course, testing of the code or maintenance is also what is it? Easy, right or not?
Yes.
जी सर.
Right. All right. So if you want to make a variable of the class to only read only, then make a property for that variable and use get accessor. You want to make the class variable to be only write only. Make a one property for the class variable and use what? Set accessor. You want both, use get set both, right?
Yes.
जी सर.
And any moment of time for new requirement, we can easily change that. All right. So let's move on to discuss about abstraction in C sharp. What is abstraction? To whom we call abstraction, right? How it is related to the encapsulation. That's a point we need to understand. All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So people say, hey, what is the abstraction? What is the data abstraction in the C sharp? Abstraction in C sharp is our next discussion. Let me tell you, abstraction, nothing but also known as a data abstraction, is a property by virtue of which only the essential details are exhibited to the user, right? And non-essential things are not available to the user. So what do you mean about the abstraction? What do you mean about the data abstraction? What need that is available to user and what not need to the user that is not available to the user, right?
Yes, sir.
जी सर.
Let me more clarify with the all nothing but points and some more what is it called with live implementation, right or not?
जी सर.
Yes. Observe about what is it? Abstraction. About what is it? Come on.
Abstraction.
Abstraction. Intro as question. Tell me about abstraction and encapsulation. Tell me about abstraction, encapsulation differences, right or not? Right.
Yes, sir.
जी सर.
Abstraction in C sharp is also one of the fundamental concept of the object-oriented programming rule, object-oriented programming principle, right?
जी सर.
So here observe that the abstraction in a C sharp is one of the fundamental principle, one of the fundamental, what is it? Principle, one of the fundamental principle, right? Object oriented programming concept principles, right? All right. That means the abstraction principle, the abstraction rule in C sharp makes sure that all other principle like encapsulation principle, polymorphism principle, and inheritance. I told initial days, no? There are four major principles of any object-oriented programming. One is what? Abstraction, encapsulation, polymorphism, and what is it? Inheritance. Right? If these all four used by any programming language, if they are all four supported by any programming language, which are the major principle of any object-oriented programming concept, right? It is known as a The language is object-oriented programming language. So big question arises, C# is an object-oriented programming language? Yes. It means in this we have support of abstraction, encapsulation, polymorphism, inheritance. Already we have seen the encapsulation and polymorphism. We are going to see now abstraction. We'll be seeing in coming days what is inheritance also. Right. So big question is, say, people say, hey, what is abstraction in C#? What is abstraction? Right, in C#? Observe. The process of representing the process of representing the essential features, essential things, right? The essential features or things without including the background details, without including the background details, details. The process of representing the essential features, means which are needed features without including the background details, right? Without knowing internally what happening, right or not, is called abstraction. Is called abstraction.
Right, sir.
Again I repeat, the process of representing the essential features which are needed without including the background details is called abstraction. In simple words, come on,
Simple word.
simple word, in the simple statement I can tell you, right? In a simple words or simple statement, we can say that it is a process, process of defining class, of defining a class by providing necessary, necessary details, by providing necessary details, details to call the object operation, operations, right? The object operation, what call the object method, right or not?
Yes.
Operation can perform by calling the method, because method only have the logic, na?
Ji, sir.
Right. Again I repeat, the process of representing the essential feature without including the background details is called abstraction. In simple words, we can say that it is a process of defining a class. It is a process of defining a class by providing necessary details to call the objects. Operation, nothing but method. By hiding or by removing its implementation details. Its implementation details is called abstraction. In what language? C# language. Again I repeat, in simple words we can say that is a process of defining a class by providing necessary details to call the object operation by hiding or removing its implementation detail is called, what is it? Abstraction. It means we need to expose what is necessary and compulsory, and we need to hide unnecessary thing from outside the world. So necessary thing to be exposed and unnecessary thing to be, what is it? Hide from outside the world. That is what called, what is it? Abstraction. In Caesar, we can hide the member of a class by using private access modifier. That we know that, right or not? In Caesar, we can hide the member of class by using, what is it? Private access modifiers, right or not?
Ji sir.
So if you make any private member of the what? Caesar class, that automatically hide from the what? Outside of the class. Outside of the, what is it? Class. Getting my point or not?
Ji sir.
And what you want to make accessible outside the class, we can make as a public properties, public methods, right or not?
Ji sir.
So you might be asking the question, this is available with encapsulation also, right or not? This is available with what? Encapsulation.
Encapsulation.
Right. So people ask the query like, hey, what difference between the abstraction and encapsulation? Yeah, right or not? Abstraction and what is it?
Encapsulation.
Encapsulation. Abstraction in C# is used to hide unwanted data and show only the required properties and methods to the user. To the, what is it? User. Abstraction in C# is used to hide unwanted data and show only those required properties, methods to the user, what needed for the user. Encapsulation in C# is used to bind data members and member function into a single unit. Single unit means one class, right? To prevent outsider from accessing it directly, right?
Ji sir.
Encapsulation is the process of hiding irrelevant data from the user, or you can say encapsulation is used to protect the data. For example, whenever we buy one mobile, we can never see how the internal circuit board works. In mobile also motherboard there, na? Motherboard. In mobile also, we have some internal motherboard or not?
Ji sir.
In your laptop, we have motherboard or not?
Ji sir.
So when you buy a mobile, when you buy a laptop, we never see how the internal circuit board, motherboard works. We are also not interested to know how the digital signal converts into the analog signal and vice versa. So from a mobile user's point of view, these are the what? Some irrelevant piece of information. This is the reason why they are encapsulated inside a what? One box. Mobile has one panel, right or not? If you open the panel, in that all available things, right?
Ji sir.
Right. In C# programming, we will do the same thing. We will create a one cabinet, right? And keep all irrelevant information that should not be exposed to the user of the, what is it? Class. All right. Coming to abstraction in C#. Coming to abstraction in, what is it? C#. It is just opposite of encapsulation. Coming to abstraction in C#, it is just opposite of the what? Encapsulation. What it means is that it is a mechanism that will show only the relevant information to the user. It is a mechanism that will show only the what? Relevant information to the, what is it? User. If we consider the some mobile example, same mobile example, whenever we buy a mobile phone, we can see and use many different types of functionality like such as camera, calling, receiving the call, recording of the call, playing MP3 player, some multimedia, etc. This is nothing but an example of, what is it? Abstraction in C#. This is an example of the, what is it? Abstraction in, what is it? C#. The reason is we are only seeing the relevant information instead of what is that? Their, come on, internal work. Getting my point? We are able to see only what? The relevant information, what need for the user. What need for the user instead of all their internal work. Right?
Yes.
In a
Yes, sir.
single sentence, in a single statement, we can say that encapsulation is used for data hiding. That is what? Information hidden. Whereas abstraction is used for, right, details hiding, nothing but implementation hiding. Got my point?
Yes, sir.
Got my point?
Yes, sir.
Encapsulation is used for what? Data hiding, right or not? Data hiding. Abstraction is used for details hiding, nothing but implementation hiding, right or not?
Yes, sir.
Clear the point?
Yes.
Yes.
So abstraction, what hide? Details hide.
Okay.
And encapsulation, what hide?
Data.
Data hide, nothing but information hide. So what I'm saying that the process of representing the essential feature, the process of representing what? Essential feature to the user of the class without including in background details what happening, right or not, is called abstraction. In simple word, we can say that it is a process of defining a class by providing what is it? Necessary details to call the what? Objects operations by hiding or removing its what? Internal details. Implementation detail is called abstraction. So in abstraction, what you're hiding? Implementation detail. And in the encapsulation, what you're hiding? Data hiding. How data hiding? By making the class variable as private. Right. That is a hide, right or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Right. So to understand the abstraction with real-time scenario, let us understand with one example called car. Car is one object. Car is one
Yes,
object
sir.
or not? Car is one object, right or not? Of the which class? Automobile class, right? So one example, there is a car object. As you know, car is made of many things. Car is made up of many things. Like car has the color, car has the gear, car has brakes, car has indicator, car has steering, car has battery, and so on, right or not?
Yes.
Right. All right. Now you want to ride the car. You want to drive the car, right? So to ride a car, what are things you should know? If you want to ride a car, then as a car driver, what are the things you should know? You should know the car. You should know my car color. You should know car has gear. You should know car has brake. Car has a steering, right or not? These all are the essential things which you should know, right?
Yes.
So they are things that should be exposed and known by the car driver before riding the car, right or not?
Yes.
And the things which should be hidden to a car rider, like engine of the car, no, and all the parts of the engine of the car. Getting the point? Understood or not?
Yes.
Right. So if I create one class called what is it? Car. Then I'm going to make one car data called car name, car color with a private. And then I'm exposing the private field using the public property with the get and set. Name of the car and name of the color. And I have method called steering. Now, method called brakes, gear, car engine. Many are there, right or not?
Yes.
So any private things will be accessible outside of the class or not accessible outside the class. Any private things, any private member of the class accessible outside of the class or not accessible outside of the class.
Accessible outside the class.
Any private member of class is accessible outside of the class or not accessible outside of the class. Not accessible. Not at all accessible, right or not? Acha. Next thing. If you want to have the implementation details, implementation logic. So implementation logic keep inside the method, right? Right or not?
Yes, sir.
And that we do not want to expose outside the class. That is for internal use. That details I wanted to hide, right or not? So I have to make that method as a public or as a private?
Private.
Private. So implementing the details which I do not wanted to exposed, that is not necessary to user, that we call as what? Hiding the implementation details. So you're writing a method creating as a private. Method creating as what is it?
Private.
Private. Clear the point?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So all public properties and all public methods, right? Those are exposed outside of the class, right? I meant to say those are the essential, those are the necessary to be exposed, and which are not necessary to expose, that will make as what? Private. Got my point or not?
Yes.
Will make as what? Private.
Yes, sir.
So the class data is defined as a class field, class variable, and that we are hiding. So class data, if it is hide, that is called as encapsulation. And you may expose via their property or getter method or setter method, right or not?
Yes, sir.
But you have any implementation that you keep into any method, and that you wanted to hide, then make the method as a private. If the method made private, that implementation detail is what? Hidden, and that is what called as abstraction. So in a single word, encapsulation for data hiding and abstraction for what is that? Implementation detail hiding.
Detail
right?
hiding.
Yes. Clear the point?
Yes.
So implementation detail, how you hide? By using the private access modifier, right?
Yes, sir.
By using the private access modifier. Clear the point?
Yes, sir.
All right. So hope it is very much clear, sir.
Yes, sir.
So for abstraction also we achieve use what? Private access modifier, but for whom? Not for data. For whom? For the detail hiding. A detail available in the form of method, right or not?
Yes, sir.
So in single statement, what we call encapsulation is used for data hiding, that is known as information hiding, whereas abstraction is used for details hiding, that is called as what? Implementation hiding.
Yes, sir.
So by this way, you can provide the great level of security to your program to not expose important details to the user, because user do not require to know about that. They should know only essential thing that we are exposing by making as a public, right or not?
Yes, sir.
One more example I will tell you. Consider a real life scenario of the withdrawing money from ATM. I hope everybody withdraw money from ATM either these days or
Yes,
earlier
sir.
days, right?
Yes.
Of course, nowadays we are doing maximum online transfer, right? But if you want cash in hand, then you have to go to the ATM and withdraw the money, right?
Yes, sir.
So user only know that is the ATM machine, right? First enter the ATM card, then enter the what? If asking PIN code, definitely ask PIN code of ATM. Then enter the amount, how much you wanted to withdraw at the last. So first you reach the ATM center, you insert the ATM card, it asks for what is it, enter pin code, then ask for what, how much amount you want to withdraw, right? At the last,
Yes, sir.
and then finally after processing, if ATM has money, they're giving money to you. If not have money, some error code will come and display error code, right?
जी
Yes,
सर
sir.
So if money is there, you get your money. User does not know about the inner mechanism of ATM. So which user is withdrawing the money, they not required to know inner mechanism of the ATM or implementation of withdrawing money procedure. The user just simply knows how to operate the ATM machine. So what knows? Putting card where, entering the pin code, entering the amount, how much I want to draw. So this thing user should know. They are essential for the user. And what are not essential? The inner mechanism, how withdraw money process happen, right or not?
Yes,
जी सर
This is what called as abstraction. So what hide it from you? All internal implementation of withdrawing money process is hidden from the user, right or not?
जी सर
So in C#, abstraction, right? Meaning is what? Hiding the implementation detail. Hiding the, what is it? Implementation, what is it? Detail.
details
Right. And if you wanted to make real implementation, if you wanted to make, what is it? A real implementation. So I hope somebody heard about one concept and that I will also discuss. The name is abstract class. What class?
abstract
Abstract class. So abstract class is nothing but declared with the help of one keyword abstract. And for abstract class, you cannot create object. So that is a separate discussion. We'll discuss about that. In that we have the method that is known as an abstract method. That is a method called, what is it? Abstract method. An abstract class containing abstract method. Abstract class also using abstract keyword. In that abstract method also using what? Abstract keyword. An abstract method required to be override by the what? Any of the class, which class derived from the, what is that? Abstract class.
जी सर
So that I have to discuss that with example of abstract class and abstract method and all. Right. Understood or not?
जी सर
So first of all, basic thing understood, encapsulation to whom we are calling and abstraction to whom we are calling. Encapsulation is data hiding and abstraction is what? Details hiding. While encapsulation groups together data and methods that act upon the data. Data abstraction, right? Deal with exposing to the user and hiding the details of the, what is it? Implementation. Cleared?
जी सर
So this what we have finished in the today session, encapsulation and what is it? Abstraction. And how you are hiding the details by writing the code into the method, right? At that available with what is it? Private, right or not?
जी सर
At that details you are using into the any other public method, but the actual details which are using other public method that not exposed direct to the user because that is available with the private. If available with the private, it means what? Hide from the outside the world, right or not?
Yes,
Hide
sir.
from the, what is it? Outside world. That is why earlier we discussed in detail about the access modifier and the access specifier. And I told it's very, very important through the entire life of the word programming in C#, right? There is a private, public, protected, internal, and what is it? Protected, internal. Protected, what is it?
internal
Internal. Right. Understood, everybody?
जी सर
Right. So I'm sharing this session both so that you can listen that and you can recall the things. And in the next class, that is tomorrow, we will be discussing about some other thing, like we have concept nested class, we have concept of partial class, and we have class of the nothing but a sealed class, right or not? So what are these kind
Yes.
of classes and where it is going to use in the real-time development, that, and the partial method, extension method, right or not?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
This thing we are going to cover up in the next 2 to 3 classes. Then they all be completed. This keyword, already, this keyword is used to represent to current class member, right or not? We will also discuss about static class, right? Static methods. Yes or no?
Ji sir.
Right. And abstract class, abstract method will discuss in which situation we have to go for abstract class and abstract method. What is it? Non-abstract method. And after the all discussion, then I'll discuss about the inheritance. Right. So all major feature of the OOPS concept will be completed. Right. We'll discuss about interfaces, right, which is in real time use. Why in they ask in the question in the interview, in which circumstances you must use the word interface? What interface does actually? How differ interface from the classes, right or not?
Yes.
Yes. Then these all will be completed. After that, we'll discuss about array, collections and generic, and exception handling and all, right? And another some miscellaneous topic, and we'll try to bind up that, right or not?
Ji sir.
Right. Fine. So yesterday class and today class, I'm sharing you. Please try to complete it and report me in tomorrow's session. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right then. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.